Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, among the heathen that look like those heathen. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And this is the lesson that came, through the spirit I'm doing from a couple videos that I watched earlier in transit. With different people speaking on the screw ups, the mistakes that Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Netanyahu, has been making, bringing prophecy to come to pass. The prophecy of Esau being exposed and the least of the flock drawing them out. The Amalekites being the least of the flock, drawing out. Even though they're the first of the nations, they're also the least of the flock. And they're drawing the rest of the Edomites and the rest of the nations into this third world war. All right, and we're going to play a couple videos to harp on that. But first, I want to read Habakkuk 2:16. And it reads, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. For Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be upon thy glory." So everything that they're doing, they're being exposed and they're being shamed. All right. And I'm going to play just this quick clip with Andy Haifong. And he's going to break down the true name of the region, or the name of the region where the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where everything's going to kick off to start this third world's war. And it is not the Middle East. All right. I've told you, people over and over again for the last couple years that the Middle East is Western Asia. All right. It is Western Asia. The people who live throughout Western Asia, from Jordan to Saudi Arabia, India, China, Japan, Russia, they learned Asia, Western Asia. All right. They didn't learn anything about the so-called Middle East until they come here to America. All right. So that's a made-up name. So once again, that's a shameful spewing and an exposure on Esau Edom. So without further ado, Danny Haifong.
There was a missile strike on a football field in the Syrian Golan Heights town of Majd al-Shams. And immediately, Israel sounded the alarm, stating that Hezbollah was responsible. There was over a dozen people killed, many more injured, and the initial reports indicated that, in fact, it was Israelis who were killed. But remember, I just said that this is the Syrian Golan Heights. But if you know anything about the region, you know that Israel actually occupies the Golan Heights in Syria, and it has done so since the end, or since the beginning to the end, and now up until the present of that 1967 war, which has drawn all of these controversial borders that Israel now rests. So I'm going to pull up The Cradle, a great source of information on all things West Asia, but The Cradle reported on a full-scale war with Lebanon is near, says Israel's foreign minister, after blaming the 12 young people who were killed, this attack on Hezbollah.
So why, is Israel in the land of Syria? This is Habakkuk 2:12, and it says, "Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity." All right, through death, blood, rape, rob, murder have they set up those towns. And Israeli men, Israeli people have bragged about the murder and genocide of the surrounding Arab nations and the rape of their women. And then they turn around and play the victim villain and say that that's been done to them. All right, when they're the ones that's doing it, so that's why I refer to them as the victim villain. So this is, in the name of this video is Israel embarrassed as Lebanon, Iran, Yemen ruined IDF over Majal Shams strikes. All right, so the truth of the matter is that Israel has bitten off a piece of meat that it cannot chew. Or Benjamin Netanyahu has gotten these people into something that they can't get out of. What's that old saying? You can't write a check that your ass can't cash. That's where we are. Okay, and let me grab this. Yeah, let me go ahead and get this. But I'm going to get it after. I'm going to get the scriptures after I let this next video play. And I'm probably let about several minutes of it play. And then I'll, go into the scriptures and close out.
I don't know where to start. Should I start perhaps in the Middle East? It looked, for a few hours at least, that Israel were going to go for it in Lebanon, and then it looked as if they'd blink.
In Western, let's correct him, in Western Asia, Lebanon is now, the hot topic. Because once again, Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Netanyahu, wants this third world war. He wants this war to start, and needs this war to start to save his own political career and to keep himself out of prison. Because you got to remember, the people in the land of Israel were coming against him, and he was in trouble with the law for crimes against humanity, crimes against Israeli citizens, and this whole thing, since October 7th, which is looking like much like it was orchestrated and allowed to happen purposely. There has been a career saving grace for Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Netanyahu. All right, it's been a saving grace for him because it's kept him out of the courts, because being an active prime minister, he can't be up in the courts and when they're in a state of war. All right,
and pulled back, and then everybody started ordering their nationals to leave Lebanon. What's happening? Is the balloon about to go up there?
It's very dangerously so. I'm hoping that the Israeli Defense Force, which still has military professionals in its ranks who know reality when confronted by it. I need to remind your listeners that the last 2 years, Israel has, before October 7th, Israel ran major military exercises that were designed to stress test Israel. What that means is, what happens if all of Israel's enemies attack at once? How will Israel defend itself? And what Israel realized is that they can't, that there is no defense, that Israel will lose if they do the total fight. And this is pre-Gaza, meaning that the two war games that Israel participated in, thought of, planned out, didn't take into account a Gaza in revolt. They thought that the worst they'd get out of Gaza is an intifada. Instead, they have a full-scale war that's absorbed a significant part of the Israeli military capacity, even without a war in the north against Hezbollah. Israel can't do this, and the military knows it. But this isn't, again, we have to go back to the old adage, that goes back to Sun Tzu and Clausewitz. War is an extension of politics by other means. This is about the political survival of Benjamin Netanyahu, straight up. He is a desperate man who is unwilling to have his legacy be tarnished by the reality of his defeat against Hamas. And so he is prepared to sacrifice. And when I say sacrifice, I mean it in every sense of the word. Sacrifice Israel on the altar of his ego. Israel not only will not win a war against Hezbollah, Israel will be destroyed by a war with Hezbollah, because it won't just be a war with Hezbollah. The gloves will come off everywhere. Iran has already said, if Israel engages in a large-scale conflict with Hezbollah and Lebanon, that it will enter and it will be a war of annihilation. This is what we're talking about, the literal annihilation of the Israeli state. Egypt.
You know, I thought I would be able to let it play through, but the Spirit is jumping on me. Because that brought to mind, you know, the scriptures in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, because Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Netanyahu, I'm in Maccabees, because I've been reading Maccabees, I went to automatically Salakia. Or is it 15? Yeah, I think it's actually 15. 2nd Maccabees 15. I mean, 2nd Ezra 15. At around 20. Yeah, starting at 28. Behold, a horrible vision, an appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all that they which hear them may fear and tremble. And the Carmenians, that's your Iranians, raging in wrath shall go forth as wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join the battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Syrians. See, so, you know, the Israelis are about to get completely run over and ran through by Ishmael and Elam and the rest of the, because you know that's what Arab actually literally means, you know, the mixed or Mongol, and the Arabs are kind of like, you know, it's mostly Ishmael, but it's a mixture in some cases of Elam and Ishmael, and then the rest of the Muslim world, the rest of those brown people over there in Asia and in Western Asia are literally going to annihilate and wipe, you know, the Israelis off the face of the earth. And this is also proving that they are not the people of the Lord, because the scriptures clearly tell you that when Israel goes home, King David would be sitting on the throne again, and there will be peace on earth, and all nations will be serving them, not standing up, you know, to try and fight against them. So they're not matching up to prophecy. But the prophecy that they are matching up to is matching up to the people who stole the heritage takers. And what is that? I think that's in Jeremiah, the takers of my heritage. See if I can find it real quick. I think that's Jeremiah 50. Yeah, Jeremiah 50 and 11. Because you were glad, because you rejoice, O you destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as a heifer, as grass below as the bulls. Right? Your mother shall be sore confounded that bear you, and shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be the wilderness, and a dry land as a desert. All right, so you know, the Israelis actually, just like America, came out of Britain. I mean, was set up by Britain. All right. And this is also talking about America too, Esau in general, Basra, because the Lord said he's going to have a sacrifice in Basra. All right. And wherever Basra is, and the stronghold of Basra is America, but Britain is also one of those strongholds. And out of America, out of Britain came America. All right, but Britain also helped set up the land of Israel through the Balfour Declaration. All right, so the Lord is going to visit them and annihilate these heritage stealers, because they're, you know, even though all the evidence proves that they're not the people of the Lord, that they're not the ancient Israelites. I've been watching those who are about to die, and I was waiting for them to tell them themselves. And in episode 3, which I'm going to do a lesson on Lord's will, it came out. because you had, you know, the guy, one of the gladiators started talking about the black pharaohs of Egypt, all right, which we know at the time, because this was around the you know, around 79 A.D. So we know that around that time, you know, Alexander had already set up, you know, the Edomites. The Edomites had already taken over Alexander's 4 generals and took over Greece and took over Rome, and then started calling themselves by those names, and then Hellenized the Israelites and Hellenized all the heathen nations that were round about. That's what's going on in this television show. But in the show, they're talking about the histories of when the pharaohs were black. And then there's a Judean queen, as they're calling her, all right, who says that her grandfather is Herod the Great. So, you know, so I'm going to have fun poking at vocab Malone with that one, because that's proven that they're calling her Judean, and they kept talking about Judeans, and I'm reading the Maccabees, and it's talking about the hats. The Israelites didn't wear hats, all right? These Jewish people, all right, wore hats. These heritage stealers, okay? And the fact that this woman who was sleeping with Titus, because, you know, the Vespasians are in the Flavian dynasty. Oh, this show is really good. They really telling themselves, all right? And so I was waiting for them to trip themselves up. So I'm wondering if, you know, after I do a couple lessons of it, are they going to pull it off the air like they did Gods and Prophets? Or was it Prophets and Gods, when in the show where they actually made the Israelites pale, and then they turned around and made the Edomites so-called African looking. So, and it's funny because I had prophesied years before that when they finally put the Edomites in a television show, they were going to make them, you know, black, so-called black. And that's exactly what they did. Did a couple lessons on it. Next thing you know, that show was off the air. Why? Because it didn't match up with scriptures. And I don't know if I had anything to do with it. I actually, honestly think that I did. Or should I say Yahweh Bashem Shai? Let me not take any credit, because he put the spirit on me to start doing a series on the series as it was playing. Next thing you know, it's off the air. All right, and a few of those videos might still be up. I know they took the, you know, that Maccabean spirit, but nevertheless, to get back into the lesson, so let's let him speak again.
Egypt is massing troops at Rafah. If you think for a second, if Israel gets involved in a decisive, all-encompassing conflict with Hezbollah in the north, that Egypt will stand by idle in the south, think again. Nations that never would have thought of confronting Israel will jump on the Israeli carcass like a starving jackal, because there is a lot of animosity in the Middle East. Israel has built up a deep reservoir of hatred. And as Israel goes down, and it will go down.
Hold on. He going in, but he's speaking truth here. He's not speaking hate. He's simply speaking truth. And to some people, truth is hate. All right. This is Isaiah 14:10. And it reads, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, and the worms are spread under thee, and worms shall cover thee. So worms are, you know, can be connected to death, to destruction, to decaying. So you know, these Israelis, these Edomites in general, you know, the worms are set under them. Their societies, their power structure is exposed and is falling. So, you know, they need this war to get going to try to save them. Meanwhile, the West is trying to create chaos so that they can make life hell on earth with depopulation, and then bring in them, you know, the MOTB to control the masses. That's what they're trying to do. Meanwhile, you know, Benjamin Milkowski is drawing them into this Third World War, which is really Yahweh Bashem Shai that's doing it. All right.
It is going down. Israel will not survive what it has started. But Israel has a choice now to allow for the peaceful collapse of Zionism, because Zionism's day...
And see, that's where he's wrong. Israel does not have a choice. And these wills are there. When they say peace and safety, there will be no peace. All right, they don't have a choice. They're not going to be, no, these brown people around them would never allow them to have a voice again once they, you know, break them. So he's wrong with that. The Lord is going to annihilate this place for the controversy of Zion. All right, let's get that real quick, and then I'm going to actually come back to Isaiah 14. So this is Isaiah 34, and I know it's 8. I think I'm going to start up a little bit. Isaiah 34 and 2. But the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all the armies. He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. So the Lord's going to bring all the other nations. Why? Because all nations have wronged his people. You know, all nations have wronged the Israelites, so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the scattered elect that's scattered among all the heathens. All right. And so the Lord is going to not only is he going to annihilate the Israelis for the controversy of Zion, the Edomites, but he's going to annihilate the other nations as well. So he's going to let them annihilate the Israelis, and then the Lord's going to come in the middle of that battle and destroy everyone, destroy all their armies. All right, that's what's written. Isaiah 34 and 3. Their slain shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up from their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. So the smell of death is going to reek. All right. And it says, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all the hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as a falling fig from a fig tree. So those missiles are going to go off and just melt and dissolve everything and roll up in the heavens like a scroll, the mushroom clouds. All right, let me just jump down to verse 8. And it says, for this is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and it is the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. All right, this elephant in the room, you know, over who the Israelites are, and the denial of it, the denials of the facts, the denials of the scriptures, come in both the Western Christianity and Talmudism as well, because they all know, and the evidence shows that the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans are indeed the true children, sons and daughters of Yasharallah, of Israel. And of course, the scattered that is scattered around the four corners of the earth. And that's plain and simple. Let's go back to Isaiah 14. And I'm going to start at verse 12. And it reads, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? So all the nations were weakened by the philosophies of Esau, Edom, by these Idumeans, all right, that from Isaiah 34 and 8. Matter of fact, I think I read it. I think I'm gonna read it again. No, 34 and 6. Isaiah 34 and 6. The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of the lambs and goats, and the fat and the kidneys and rams. Yahweh have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. The Lord is going to slaughter these Edomites, these Idumeans. Why? Read verse 8 again. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. And Lord's will, this is the actual year. Because even if it isn't, it's right around the corner, man. All right? Because everything is pointing to this. Okay, so back to Isaiah 14. And we were at verse 13. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into the heavens, I will exalt my throne above the stars, and I will sit also upon the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north, and that's in North America. All right, they've gone up in the clouds, got their space stations. They can't go past Leo though. That's low Earth's orbit, and even Siri, when you ask her, would tell you about the frozen firmament that no one can go through or past. So you know their own science, you know, destroys their lies about the moon landing. All right, we tell you that the moon is hot like the sun. It's its own light, You can't land on the sun. You can't land on the moon. Duh. But it says, for I will send above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. And they've painted themselves up, and then they're trying to be like God with this digital system to control everyone, which is what the West is trying to do, all right? While Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Benjamin Netanyahu, is trying to start this Third World War to preserve his own self and his own career, all right? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, and they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdom? So the Satan, it said, how Lucifer, how did they fall? All right, they got exposed through the prophets of the Lord, through the words that came out of the word, the living word. All right,
is over. It is finished. It is done. It is disgraced as an ideology. The world will not tolerate it. We are on the path toward a Palestine. It may take some time, but that's the direction we're heading. Or Israel can accelerate not only the timing of its defeat, but the scope and scale of the violence that will be attached to this defeat. If Israel goes to war against Hezbollah, Israel will be destroyed from the top to the bottom, from the river to the sea.
Damn.
That is a guarantee, and the Israeli Defense Force knows it.
This is true.
And here's where it gets dangerous, because Israel has factored in such a scenario, and it's called the Samson option. And that's the use of Israeli nuclear force.
So, just to prove the point, they are going to use the arrows, you know, and there is no getting out of this. It's just a matter of time. So, and if the Lord, if Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai is not with you, you're going to die. And if you're over in the valley of Jehoshaphat serving the beast, you're going to die. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakaha Kodash, Kwam Yasharala, Abad Babal.